Chapter 116. Captain Marvel never expected that 343 would say such a thing in the end. In addition to being angry, Captain Marvel shot 343 without any hesitation. She also wants to see how powerful this guy who claims to be the creator of the universe is. Two red beams shot out from Captain Marvel's eyes and went straight to 343. There are some rocks and other objects in space along the way. As long as they are blocked in front of these two beams, they will be melted by the high temperature of these two beams in an instant. Captain Marvel, in fact, has some similarities with Kryptonians. For example, they can all become stronger by absorbing sunlight. Captain Marvel has been wandering all over the universe these years, has seen many different races, and has also received the light of many suns. That's why Captain Marvel's power is so powerful. Now because of 343's words, Captain Marvel intends to use all his strength to completely defeat 343 and make him pay for some of the words he said. These two light beams can easily shoot through a small planet and leave behind a large amount of heat, thus directly detonating the core of this small planet, causing a big explosion. Ultimately destroy this little planet completely. In other words, Captain Marvel's blow has reached the point where it can destroy a planet. But for 343, such an attack is still too weak. Even 343 didn't take a look at Captain Marvel's blow, just stood there quietly with a burger in his mouth. But the moment those two light beams approached 343, they disappeared directly. Not even a trace was left. What kind of power is this? If Captain Marvel has not noticed it before, what is the power of 343? Well, now, Captain Marvel has found out. 343's power is very wrong. This feeling does not seem to be the power emperor that should exist in this universe. It was something else, a power she had never seen before. I have spent a lot of time in the universe, but I have never seen a similar power. The attack I had just now was distorted in an instant, and then disappeared. This kind of power is very strange, as if it is omnipotent. Captain Marvel can roughly feel some of the power characteristics of the reality bender, but he doesn't know what kind of power this power exists. That's why Captain Marvel questioned 343, asking him what power is this. But facing this question, 343 did not answer her. Instead, he took another sip of Coke, followed by two rays of light from his eyes, just like Captain Marvel before. It's just that the attack launched by 343 carried a white light. This light is not like Captain Marvel's light, with powerful destructive power. It can destroy everything, but it is just as dangerous. Because apart from Captain Marvel, no other object can prevent the approach of this ray of light. As if the light did not exist, it directly passed through the obstacles of all objects and flew straight towards Captain Marvel. But Captain Marvel dared not let the light hit him. Although she didn't feel any danger from 343's attack, she knew that this light must be full of danger. Therefore, when the light approached her, she stood up and set up a protective shield around her. A layer of azure blue shield, with a little halo, appeared around Captain Marvel. As if forming a domain that can isolate everything, nothing outside can cause the slightest harm to Captain Marvel. Originally, Captain Marvel thought that with this shield, it should be able to block 343's attack. But when 343's attack really hit, Captain Marvel found that he still overestimated himself after all. These two white rays of light, just like before, directly ignored the protective shield around Captain Marvel and then hit Captain Marvel. What? Captain Marvel's eyes widened immediately. She never expected that 343's attack could directly ignore her own defense and hit herself. What kind of weird power is this? Compared with other reality benders, that simple and brutal force zone. Although 343's power is to directly distort reality and realize his ideas, it needs to be more refined. In addition to distorting reality, 343 can also control rules. So 343 can freely set rules on his own attack. For example, his attack just now has two rules: must hit and unstoppable. Therefore, it is impossible for Captain Marvel's defense to intercept 343's attack, and she cannot escape from this attack. The moment 343's attack appears, in fact, Captain Marvel will definitely be hit. Who the hell are you? Why do you have to stop me? What do you want to do to Earth? Although Captain Marvel was hit by 343's attack at this moment, his body was not injured at all, even unscathed. It's just that there is a faint white light shining on the body, as if it has been painted with fluorescent powder. But since the opponent was able to hit him just now, it means that the subsequent attacks can also hit him. This blow to the opponent is just a warning, and the next thing is the real battle of life and death. But Captain Marvel still can't understand. What kind of power does 43 have? Why is it completely impossible to intercept his attack, needless to say defeating the opponent? When you don't know anything, information is the most important thing. Although getting information from the enemy's mouth sounds like a fairy tale, but in practice, this is one of the best options for getting intelligence. I am the creator of the universe. I am the father of you and all things. Haven't I already told you? 343 is still the same, stubbornly believing that the universe and all things are created by himself. I don't know if I'm really crazy, or because of other reasons. Anyway, 343 has always been like this, and it has never changed. This is true whether it is in the original Foundation files or in the world summoned by Jiang Bai. In addition, the Earth is now forbidden to visit. I was entrusted to come here to prevent you from entering, so you should still leave. Although 343's words made Captain Marvel's face darken at the beginning, he wished he could rush up and kill this old man who kept taking advantage of him. But the following sentence caught 343's attention in an instant. Entrusted by others? Entrusted by whom? Captain Marvel knew that the person who asked 343 to stop him should be the mastermind behind all this. So Deng even questioned 343. 343 didn't hide anything. After all, the Foundation is not some shady organization. Especially for people like Captain Marvel, it is actually very simple to know the existence of the Foundation. Definitely, they are also limited to knowing the Foundation. Just like Ancient One. If they don't take the initiative to understand, they will never know what kind of existence the Foundation is. The Abnormal Object Foundation, an organization dedicated to protecting the human world. Anomaly Foundation? A new organization? Before leaving the Earth, Captain Marvel already knew almost everything about the organizations on the Earth. But there is no organization called the Abnormal Object Foundation among them. Therefore, Captain Marvel concluded that the Foundation should be a new organization that appeared after he left Earth. But this also surprised Captain Marvel even more. It's not too long since I left the Earth, but in such a short time, can I appear in a brand new organization? And it has such a powerful strength? This is simply an incredible thing. Could it be that they, like themselves, came from other planets and are eyeing the power of the Earth? Captain Marvel himself is actually the sentry sent by the Supreme Intelligence to occupy the Earth, but Captain Marvel violated the wishes of my Supreme Intelligence and became the protector of the Earth in turn. But now Captain Marvel naturally thinks that the Foundation, like himself, is an organization arranged by a certain force in the universe to occupy the Earth. Because of this piece of action, Captain Marvel is too familiar. So after thinking about it for a while, Captain Marvel felt that he had guessed pretty well. Immediately, I felt that the flame of justice in my heart was blazing, and said to 343 with a righteous expression, I will never let you and the organization behind you occupy the Earth. I will definitely thwart your plot. Hearing Captain Marvel's endless words, even 343, who is almost omnipotent, couldn't help raising question marks one after another. Where did this girl find out that she and the Foundation were going to take over the Earth? And as long as you want to, you can create another Earth, right? Unlike Marvel's power to destroy redundant manufacturing, the power of 343 can really create a brand new Earth. There will be creatures, plants, and even humans that are exactly the same as the Earth now. In the Marvel multi-universe, for some unknown reason, it is actually very simple to destroy a planet. Whether it is Ancient One, Thanos, or Odin, anyone can easily destroy a planet, including the Earth. But none of them could make an Earth. This is the difference between the two. The power of Marvel is the ultimate destruction. Only the 5 abstract concepts exist, and they may have the power to create, but they rarely do so. However, 343 is really able to create the world, make life, and even reopen the evolutionary path of creatures according to his own wishes. It's just that in 343's cognition, the Earth is his most perfect masterpiece. So he is unwilling to make a second Earth, and there is no need to do so. Therefore, things like occupying the Earth are completely meaningless in 343's view. So he didn't understand why Captain Marvel would say such a thing. But 343 didn't care too much, but looked at Captain Marvel indifferently. Although I don't know why you think so, it doesn't matter anymore. Now please turn around and leave. I don't want to repeat the same words. My child, should you be obedient and understand? 343 is like an elder who has been d off by a child. He educates Captain Marvel seriously, hoping that Captain Marvel can listen to him and follow his orders. But obviously, these words of 343 have no effect on Captain Marvel. Instead, Wang Zhao made Captain Marvel even more angry. I think you should pay a price for what you said. You old B asterisk 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 D, who is full of lies and pretends to be God. Captain Marvel suddenly roared. A violent force rushed out of her body, and the entire solar system trembled under the power of Captain Marvel. Planets such as the Sun, the Moon, Venus, and Jupiter were all affected to varying degrees at this moment. Especially the Sun. A large number of solar flames are controlled by Captain Marvel, turning into a spear and appearing in Captain Marvel's hands. Countless unknown small planets are also under the control of Captain Marvel's power, moving towards 343 at a high speed like meteors. If any one of these small planets hits the Earth, it will destroy the Earth in an instant. At least human beings will definitely suffer heavy casualties under the impact. It can be said that it is not much less dangerous than the danger of Odin taking Leviathan away. But such an attack is nothing more than a very common tactic for Captain Marvel. Looking at these flying little planets, 343 looked down at the hamburger in his hand, then stretched out his finger, dipped a little tomato sauce on it, and flicked it casually. In an instant, the tomato sauce thrown out by 343 turned into small planets and flew directly towards Captain Marvel. Crash with those little planets controlled by Captain Marvel. Suddenly a huge explosion appeared in the sky above the Earth, and even ordinary people on the Earth could clearly see the explosion. At the same time, the battle between them also attracted the attention of some other forces. After all, the water on the Earth can be said to be one of the deepest in the entire universe. The end. Chapter 117. The planet where Thanos is. Since the Battle of New York above, Thanos has actually been paying attention to the Earth. Because of Loki's failure, Thanos not only did not get the Tesseract, he even lost the scepter. This also means that Thanos has lost 2 infinite gems, and this also makes Thanos more certain that there are strong people on the Earth, even more than he himself guessed before. So Thanos didn't continue to attack the Earth during this time, but was waiting for an opportunity. Odin, conqueror of the 9 realms, Supreme 3. These 2 people are the existence that Thanos knew before he did anything to the Earth. At one time, Thanos regarded these 2 people as the biggest obstacle to his desire to get the Earth. It's just that Thanos wasn't worried at that time, because whether it was Odin or Ancient One, they were both dying. So Thanos only needs to wait quietly for Odin and Ancient One to die, and then he can do it on the Earth. At least that's what Thanos thought back then. But now, who can tell me, who are the 2 guys who are fighting in the sky above the Earth now? Thanos still had a palpable grin on his face as Odin fought the Ancient One. After all, if these 2 enemies who stood in front of me and prevented me from conquering the Earth and obtaining infinite gems, it would be a great thing if they could kill each other and die together. But with SHIELD and the Foundation, the 2 going extinct before that wasn't too much of a concern. Feeling that the organization that was not enough to pose a threat to him started to act, Thanos suddenly realized that he seemed to have underestimated the Earth. I don't know the old man summoned by the Foundation, nor the woman summoned by S.H.I.E.L.D. But I have to admit that these 2 people have the strength to fight against themselves. Especially the old man summoned by the Foundation. His mysterious power also made Thanos unable to understand. Don't understand what power is this? But Thanos knows that this is definitely not the power that this world, this multi-universe should exist. Damn, is it the existence of other multi-universes? Thanos also probably knows 990, and he is in a huge system called the Omnipotent Universe. There are countless multi-universes in the Omnipotent Universe, and each multi-universe will have countless parallel universes branched out due to different choices. Now this kind of power that does not belong to Marvel's distant universe at all can only make Thanos think of one possibility, that is, the arrival of reinforcements from the Foundation. Before that, Thanos probably knew that the Foundation was not the existence of his own multi-universe, and the monsters he encountered before were all the same existence. But at that time, the Foundation did not show its strength to counter itself, so Thanos only paid attention to the Foundation and didn't take it too seriously. But now it's clear that Thanos can no longer ignore the Foundation like before. He had to be prepared to put the Foundation on an equal footing with himself. Master, they are still fighting each other now, and the grievance between SHIELD and the Foundation seems to be far more serious than we imagined. So we can completely sit back and watch the battle between these stupid humans. Infighting. Although Ebony Maw watched the battle between Captain Marvel and 343, he felt a chill. But he was not intimidated by it, but instead made a suggestion to Thanos. Thanos heard Ebony Maw's suggestion and looked at 343 and Captain Marvel, who were fighting fiercely, and even activated the Guardian Array just to defeat Odin's Ancient One. Needless to say, at the moment Thanos was tempted. Although Thanos is a senior dog licker, all his actions are aimed at gaining the favor of the goddess of death. But he's not a stupid, brainless idiot either. On the contrary, Thanos is actually quite wise. Otherwise, he wouldn't have stopped attacking the Earth immediately after the defeat in the New York War, and had been waiting for a suitable time to appear. What you said makes sense, but the battle between SHIELD and the Foundation is still not intense enough. I think we still need some help. Thanos' words made Ebony Maw stunned for a moment. He didn't seem to understand what Thanos meant, but soon he knew what Thanos wanted to do. A woman came before Thanos. She appears to have green skin all over her body, much like some mutants on Earth. But Ebony Maw knew that the woman in front of him was stronger and more dangerous than those so-called mutants. Because she is the adopted daughter of Thanos, she is a woman with the title of the most dangerous woman in the universe. Gamora Jean Hubel bin Titan. After her race was destroyed by Universal Truth, she was picked up by Thanos as the only survivor. Then Thanos promised that he would train her to be the most powerful weapon, giving her the power of revenge, and thus gained Gamora's allegiance. Under normal circumstances, Gamora is acting in the dark at this moment. Produce for Thanos those hostile forces that do not obey Thanos. Now Thanos makes Gamora appear, which means that something needs Gamora to do it. Ebony Maw, Gamora, after you, sneaked into the Earth and became a part of S.H.I.E.L.D. I want you to control SHIELD in secret and lead SHIELD to start a full-scale war with the Foundation. This woman and that old man, it is best to let them die together. Odin and Ancient One Thanos are not worried, because they will die sooner or later. But Captain Marvel is different from 343. Thanos can't see any breath of death from them. If they continue to survive, they will definitely cause huge amounts of hindrance to their plans. This is absolutely not allowed and accepted by Thanos. That's why Thanos came up with this plan. Although the Foundation and SHIELD have always been in conflict, but this conflict has not completely broken out, it is just constantly upgrading. And what Thanos wants to do is to make this conflict upgrade faster. Let the two sides become an endless situation as much as possible, and then let the two sides die together. In this way, you will have a chance. As long as the two dying guys, Odin and Ancient One, die, there will be no one on Earth who can stop him. After hearing Thanos' order, both Ebony Maw and Gamora nodded immediately to express their obedience to the order. But in fact, apart from them, there are also people on the Earth at this moment who are watching all this. This is a longer, more dangerous, and more terrifying existence. On Earth, inside a racetrack, Johnny Blazer was looking up at the sky, and beside him stood this well-dressed old man. The old man looked handsome, and although he stood there motionless, he was also full of charm. It's just that the old man seems a little unhappy now. He was also looking at the sky, and his face was extremely ugly. BCBG, the power of heaven? But it seems to be somewhat different from the real heaven. The old man is none other than the king of hell. An existence similar to Ceterak, he is also an existence that controls a universe of latitudes. And the latitude universe controlled by him is called Hell. He is the king of hell, Mere Faith. Originally, he came to find Johnny this time, and wanted to make Johnny Awakening, become his own Ghost Rider, hunt evil souls for himself, and enhance his strength. But who knows, as soon as they arrived on the Earth, they encountered a battle with Odin. Seeing the moment when the Guardian Array was activated, Mo Faith was taken aback. It's not the first time he has come to Earth to fool people as his Ghost Rider, but after so many years, he has always been fine and nothing happened. He has never been caught by Ancient One before. Could it be that he is going to stumble this time? But then Ancient One fought fiercely with Odin, which made Faith feel relieved, as long as it didn't come to deal with him. Immediately Mo Faith asked Johnny to fulfill his contract and become his own Ghost Rider. But who knew that following the battle between 343 and Captain Marvel, Faith was taken aback again. Although 343 is not a real god, he is just a reality twister who thinks he is a godlike existence, but his power comes from his heart. Therefore, when he thinks he is God, he can use the power that is infinitely close to heaven. In the world of Marvel, there is also heaven and God. It's just that the heaven and God of the Marvel multi-universe are different from the DC multi-universe, almost clearly marking the existence and supreme existence. The heavens and gods of the Marvel multi-universe hardly ever appear. But God in both worldviews is equally powerful. After Scarlet, which obtains the power of origin magic power, if she can exert the limit of origin magic power, she can only reach the highest level of divinity and restart the entire omnipotent universe. But this kind of power only shook the heaven a little bit, and couldn't even open the gate of heaven. It can be said that Marvel's God is not inferior to the existence of DC's Supreme God. It's just that he never showed up, just like the legendary OA. Therefore, after feeling this power that was incomparably similar to heaven, Mo Faith immediately became flustered. There has been no movement in heaven for so many years, so it is impossible to do something to yourself at this time, right? Just when Mephitos was worried, the battle between 343 and Captain Marvel completely relieved him. As long as it's not about yourself. But at the same time, these bizarre things also made Faith even more puzzled. When did so many powerful beings appear on Earth? Moto Faith has been paying attention to the Earth. After all, the source of his power comes from the souls of people, especially the souls of sinners. The souls of sinners who are guilty of sin can increase the power of faith. So Mo Faith has been using various means to make the human beings he likes become his subordinates, because of his evil soul. Among them, the one that satisfied Faith the most was Ghost Rider. After arguing with Uriel, the head of the Great Angel, Morfaith got the general soul of the Kyle family. From then on, everyone in the Kyle family will become Ghost Rider, although their souls do not belong to humans in Uriel's agreement either side of hell and heaven. But Mo Faith has been trying to completely occupy the soul of the Kyle family through various methods. The one most likely to succeed is the person in front of him. Johnny Blazer. One owns the man of the Kyle family blood. Under the various calculations of Mephitos, has signed a contract with Mephitos. I believe that in the near future, I will be able to completely possess the soul of the Kyle family through Johnny. Thinking of the huge benefits, Moto couldn't care less about these things, turned his head and said to Johnny immediately, Johnny, I have fulfilled my responsibilities according to the contract, and now you should also fulfill the contract. Mo Faith walked towards Johnny as he spoke. But before he got close to Johnny, a ray of light emanated from Johnny's body, blocking Faith's approach. Damn, Uriel, I knew your contract wouldn't be fair. Obviously, the loophole has been exploited and Johnny's soul can be obtained. But he couldn't get close to Johnny, which made Faith understand that Uriel must have tampered with the contract. But Mo Faith did not just give up, but took out a parchment contract. Night. When night comes, you will be my apostle, Ghost Rider, as I hunt evil spirits. Following Mo Faith's words, the parchment contract in his hand also spontaneously ignited, and finally turned into ashes all over the place. And Mo Faith also disappeared here. Only Johnny with a sluggish face was left, as if he didn't know what happened. The end. Chapter 118. In space, the battle between 343 and Captain Marvel continues. But Captain Marvel, who claims to be an Asgardian on Earth, doesn't get the respect he deserves on Earth at this moment. As for the battle in space, people on the ground can't actually see it. But they all know one thing, that is, their lord is fighting a powerful enemy. Since the appearance of 343, people on the Earth have regarded 343 as their legendary god. 343's reality distortion ability can directly rewrite the rules of a universe and give the human beings on the Earth a little benefit, which is nothing more than a simple matter. Therefore, when 343 is exchanged by Jiang Bai, 343 will give some benefits to all human beings on this Earth, such as eliminating their ailments, making the wicked repent of their crimes, and restoring the disabled to health, and so on. Except for some people with strong power, or people with some special methods, who can avoid the influence of 343's power, other human beings have benefited from 343's power. Human beings are a very real existence. For them, the most direct way to judge whether a person is a good person is to confirm whether this person is useful to them. If this person is useful to oneself and can bring benefits to oneself, then he is a good person to oneself. %*S1*@, but now 343 has directly benefited all mankind. If anyone dares to say that he is not a good person, he will definitely be insulted or even wronged by countless fanatics in an instant. So when they noticed that 343 was fighting an enemy in outer space, they didn't even think about who the enemy was. Why does 343 want to fight this person? Instead, he directly believes that those who are enemies of 343 must be villains and enemies of mankind. So Captain Marvel, who obviously came here with the idea of protecting the Earth, has now become the public enemy of all mankind. Almost everyone is cursing Captain Marvel and angrily denouncing Captain Marvel. The Great Lord must be fighting against terrible monsters to protect us. Let us pray for the Great Lord together. In the center of New York City, a priest with a face full of fanaticism came before the crowd with a cross in his hand. Countless people had gathered in the city center of it the moment, and they all looked at the priest in front of them with yearning and fanaticism. Their eyes are full of longing for the Lord and longing for faith. In this era when faith has collapsed, people seem to have lost their awe of God. But in fact, it is just hidden in the deepest part of their hearts. And once the miracle happens again, there will be countless people who will become God's most loyal believers in an instant. Because their hearts are empty, especially for people in the beautiful country. They have always believed that they are invincible, that they are omnipotent representatives. But at the same time, they also deeply understand how weak and powerless they are. Their material may be very substantial, but they lack a firm idea in their hearts. The richer or poorer the region, the more this is the case. Because the poor will hope to find a sustenance in their hearts, and they will expect a chance to change their destiny. And the wealthy people will pursue spiritual satisfaction because they have obtained everything materially, and the simplest and direct result derived from this is faith. This is why in this kind of area, cults tend to take root most easily, because they all have needs, and the needs are extremely high. The appearance of 343 gave them such satisfaction. An existence that seems to be able to save everyone, appearing in front of a person who is in urgent need of rescue, is like giving a rope to a drowning person. He will definitely use all his strength to grab this rope and climb with all his strength. So when the priest said this, everyone objected. On the contrary, everyone seemed to have made an appointment beforehand and lit a white candle in front of them. The flickering candles were full of uneasiness, just like their mood at the moment. But no matter what the situation is, it will not be easily extinguished. Praise my Lord. You are the light, you are the cloud, you are the rain, you are the master of everything, you are the source of everything, you made everything, you gave everything. We walk in your kingdom. We pasture for you cattle and sheep. Look forward to the day when we can be redeemed. Before coming to your throne, we will offer our most loyal everything. Praise be to you, Lord of hosts. Lord of hosts, God, or God's famous minister in the Old Testament. The host here represents angel. There is also the god of war, or the meaning of victory in it. Now that these people are saying this, they are looking forward to 343's victory, hoping that 343 can defeat Captain Marvel and get the final victory. I don't know what Captain Marvel should be thinking when he knows the human beings he wants to save with all his heart, but almost all of them are looking forward to his own failure. Military Security Service. Sir, what shall we do now? General Ross looked at the parliamentary representative with a strange look on his face. Because the council representative said before, Captain Marvel was called by fury. That said, Captain Marvel is on their side. But now almost all citizens want to make Captain Marvel fail. The old man who suspected God had become a living god. Not to mention those people, even in his own security bureau, some people have shown a tendency to believe in 343. In just a short while, General Ross has seen at least 10 officers crossing themselves and muttering something. That's why General Ross asked this question. He wanted to confirm from the parliamentary representatives how they should deal with these things next. Facing the words of General Ross, the parliamentary representatives were also silent for a while. On the one hand, he is a real person of his own, and on the other hand, he has become the true God unanimously recognized by the people of the beautiful country. No matter what choice their council makes, it seems that it is not appropriate. It can even be said to be extremely dangerous. Wait a little longer. After hesitation for a long time, the representative of the parliament suddenly said to General Ross, "No matter what kind of decision is made now, it is not rigorous enough. So let's not discuss this matter for the time being. This battle has nothing to do with us. Leaving aside, this is the final decision of the parliamentary representatives. Since you can't find a solution that has the best of both worlds, then simply ignore this issue. It should be said that it is indeed worthy of the excellent style of the beautiful country all the time. Since you have already said so, sir, I shall do so." General Ross nodded with a stiff look on his face. It seems that he is a little speechless about the decision of the parliamentary representative, but in fact, at this moment, General Ross's heart is already happy. Because this is what he wants to see, using the pressure of these people to force the parliament to give up the help to S.H.I.E.L.D. This is the real purpose of Ross building the army. Cooperate inside and outside, and push S.H.I.E.L.D. to a dead end as soon as possible. Facing the obviously stiff tone of General Ross, the parliamentary representatives also understood that this was a very irresponsible approach. So after hearing what General Ross said, he could only nod silently. There is nothing we can do about this matter. In this situation, even if it is announced that Captain Marvel is on our side, the result is already doomed. The public will not accept this fact and will demand that we take action against Captain Marvel, so the best thing to do right now is to keep silent. In fact, Only a few minutes have passed since the representatives of the Parliament went from being surprised and looking forward to Captain Marvel before to giving up and feeling helpless now. But for Parliament, it's all very common. Because the first consideration of the Parliament is not the position, but the interests. Helping Captain Marvel now and keeping quiet. Who's best bet? Therefore, it is already expected that representatives of the Parliament will do this. Sir, I understand what you mean, so let's keep silent now, just pretend that nothing happened. As soon as General Ross said these words, many soldiers breathed a sigh of relief. They are really worried. Will they be forced to take a shot against 343? Because after what happened just now, many of them have actually become believers of 343. If the Council really makes them enemies of 343 at this time, it will definitely make them feel aggravated. So when the parliamentary representative said to keep silent, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. But there were also some people who showed dissatisfaction, because they felt that they should take action now and help 343 defeat Captain Marvel. After all, 343 is their god. And the parliamentary representative was also paying attention to the changes in the soldiers, so he could see at a glance that something was wrong with these soldiers. This also made the parliamentary representative once again thankful for his decision, otherwise, he would only be more troublesome and troublesome. The council is keeping silent and treating everything as if it never happened, but Captain Marvel may be uncomfortable. Since he obtained this power, he has always been quite strong. He has been wandering around in the universe for these years, and he has never met an opponent who can defeat him. But today, she seemed a little powerless in front of 343. Facing the strength of 343, Captain Marvel has been fighting as much as possible. It can be said that since she got this power, she has never fought so seriously. But at the same time, no battle would make her feel so powerless and painful. In the face of 343, no matter how much Captain Marvel fights, the result will not change in the slightest. All her attacks are like illusions in front of 343, they don't exist at all. Until now, although Captain Marvel has not suffered any injuries. But again, she never hit a 343 either. After all her attacks approached 343, they would be directly distorted and erased by 343. Therefore, she felt that her attack was like punching the cotton with all her strength, with an indescribable aggrieved and powerless. It is precisely because of this that Captain Marvel is so uncomfortable. I feel like the Joker who has been played by people on the side of the road. This is absolutely unacceptable to the proud her. Captain Marvel has always believed that he is the chosen one, who is arranged by fate to come to this world to protect the existence of world peace. Otherwise, why would I be able to obtain such a powerful force? At least in Captain Marvel's opinion, he is absolutely qualified to say this. Captain Marvel, who can almost draw with Thanos, is indeed difficult to find an opponent in the universe, but this is only because there are many strong players that she can't see. For example, those demon lords, almost every one of them controls a universe of one dimension. These demon lords will live in their universe and spy on all living worlds. They all have the strength to fight Captain Marvel, or even defeat Captain Marvel. But they don't need to do this, and Captain Marvel, who can't see these more dangerous beings, naturally can't see a few more powerful beings than her in this universe. So she has some deviations in her perception of herself, thinking that she should be a person favored by fate, and with this understanding, she started her so-called journey of maintaining peace. Until now, she has encountered a troublesome existence. 343. This should be Captain Marvel, facing off against the level Godfather for the first time. It's a pity that the first opponent of the same level she faced was hell-level difficulty. Girl, didn't you understand what I said before? At this moment, 343 has actually become a little impatient. He has been keeping his hand, hoping that Captain Marvel can leave on his own initiative, but it seems that the other party doesn't understand the gap between the two parties at all and has been trying to defeat him. This made 343 quite dissatisfied, even faintly angry. But Captain Marvel still looked at 343 calmly. I will defeat you, and then protect the peace and stability of this world. You guys with ulterior motives will definitely... Captain Marvel only spoke halfway. 343 waved his hand, and a few planets appeared in 343's hand. I'm sorry, girl. It looks like I have to tell you to shut up.
The end.
Chapter 119. 343 originally didn't want to really do anything about Captain Marvel. After all, in 343's eyes, Captain Marvel is also his creation. But now this creation seems to have no intention of recognizing him as the creator at all, and even looks like he must kill him, which makes 343 a little unhappy. From 343's point of view, this kind of behavior is completely provoking his authority as the creator. This is behavior that should not and is not allowed. So 343 decided to sanction Captain Marvel, let her understand that the creator does not allow rebellion. But apparently Captain Marvel didn't think so. She only thought 343 was a powerful lunatic. How this universe was born, I am afraid that only the existence of the 5 abstract concepts will know. Although the person in front of him is powerful, he has definitely not reached the point where he can create the world. So in the eyes of Captain Marvel, 343 is a lunatic who fantasizes that he can become a god. So Captain Marvel didn't care about what 343 said. Instead, he looked at 343 with contempt. You are just a lunatic. Do you really think you are such a great person? A person who has been dazzled by power, you idiot. Let me wake you up. Although Captain Marvel knew that 343 was strong, she never thought she would lose. In her eyes, her own victory is already an inevitable result. No matter how powerful 343 is, he will never be able to match his own opponent. Captain Marvel is still very confident in himself. It's just that her 363 words successfully made 343 even more unhappy. An arrogant, ignorant creature. I really don't understand why I created a creature like you in the first place. 343 shook his head in disappointment and then flicked his fingers. The planet between his fingers rushed towards Captain Marvel quickly. Treating planets like marbles played by children and throwing them out to attack others is probably beyond anyone's imagination. But in the eyes of 343, this is like a game. The planet is just something he fabricated casually. Possessing powerful reality-distorting power, 343 can easily create many things, such as planets and fixed star. You seem to absorb power from the sun, don't you? 343 can see that Captain Marvel can absorb power from the sun and use it to strengthen himself. So 343 decided to send a fixed star to Captain Marvel. Just use Captain Marvel's favorite things and send Captain Marvel on the road. So, do you want to destroy the sun? Captain Marvel looked at 343 indifferently. She thought that the other party wanted to do something to the sun, but Captain Marvel was not worried about it. Because she can only absorb power from the sun, but this does not mean that she must absorb power from the sun. Some of her powers are of other nature as well, not entirely derived from the sun. So even if 343 really destroyed the sun, she wouldn't be affected too much. And Captain Marvel doesn't think that B-43 will really destroy the sun. No. 343 shook his head when he heard the words, and then said flatly, I will not destroy the sun, but I will give you a son instead. What? Before Captain Marvel understood what it meant, he saw that the planet that was thrown by 343 before was constantly expanding, and a large amount of magma was spreading from the cracks on the surface of the planet. Almost in the blink of an eye, this planet has been covered by a large amount of magma. It does look similar to the sun, but in fact it is just a ball of huge amounts of magma. Captain Marvel didn't care too much about it. It was just magma. Even if I jumped in and took a shower, I wouldn't have any reaction. But since 343 has already said that he wants to give her a son, he will not break his promise. Just when the planet was completely covered by magma, the interior of the planet collapsed suddenly. At some point, a black hole appeared and swallowed up the planet. Before Captain Marvel could react, what kind of situation is this? The entire planet has disappeared, and then the black hole is also collapsing itself at a fast speed, and the black hole has disappeared in a blink of an eye. In its place is a huge amounts of fixed star. After Captain Marvel discovered that the planet had turned into a black hole, he immediately set up a large number of power barriers in front of him in an attempt to stop the black hole from being swallowed. But she didn't expect that the black hole disappeared in just a blink of an eye, and it was replaced by a blazing sun. The blazing sun flames radiated terrifying heat. The light that can pierce human eyes shines on Captain Marvel without any cover, as if to roast Captain Marvel into jerky. Looking at this scene, even Captain Marvel, who was full of confidence just now, had to show a look of surprise at this moment. He also didn't expect that 343 would actually create a sun and use this sun to hit himself. How did he do it? It was obviously a planet before. Planet and fixed star are two different things. Planets are solid, but fixed star is made entirely of gas. These two completely different things 343 can be directly converted, which is even more unbelievable for Captain Marvel than creating a planet out of thin air. After all, Although Captain Marvel doesn't know how to create things, she also knows that there are many beings who can do this well. But directly rewriting the essence of an object is equivalent to changing carbon-based life into silicon-based life, which is even more exaggerated than this. This has violated the law of the universe. How can the rules of the universe allow such things to exist? Captain Marvel's face was full of doubts and incomprehension, but looking at the sun that had already flown in front of him, Captain Marvel could only take a deep breath and then concentrated all his strength. In fact, Captain Marvel also thought about avoiding it directly, but she didn't do it in the end. This is not because of her arrogance, but because she has an intuition. She felt that she should not be able to avoid this blow. No matter how she avoided it, she would be hit in the end. That's how she felt, so she decided to face the sun head-on. Powerful power rests on Captain Marvel's iron fist. The blazing heat of fixed star and the huge power emitted by the sun vaporized many nearby small planets, rocks, and space junk in a blink of an eye. But at the same time, the energy emitted by fixed star is also being constantly sucked into his body by Captain Marvel. A layer of golden light covered Captain Marvel's body, and the fiery and huge energy was constantly surging in Captain Marvel's body, like waves after waves. Captain Marvel doesn't understand why 343 used the sun to attack her. The other party clearly knew that he could absorb energy from the sun, but he didn't care. Captain Marvel thought about it, but he never figured it out. Although Captain Marvel was full of doubts and puzzles about this, he didn't think too much about it. Because what Captain Marvel should be most worried about now is how to deal with the sun in front of him. The sun is constantly approaching Captain Marvel. The strong sunlight and heat seem to burn everything into ashes, facing this scene. Although Captain Marvel seemed to be full of confidence, he was also slightly negligent. Instead, he is constantly absorbing the power of the sun close to him. Destroying a sun is not difficult for Captain Marvel, but after destroying the sun, the power erupted by the destroyed sun is far stronger than the strongest weapon that human beings have, the nuclear bomb. Even if Captain Marvel is careless for a moment, he may be injured by this terrifying force. After the sun, there is a more powerful 343 waiting for him. So Captain Marvel wants to solve this sun as safely as possible, and then defeat 343. At this moment, the sun has come in front of Captain Marvel. It is obvious that this is a space without air, but for some reason, Captain Marvel always feels that he smells scorching, as if something is being burned and roasted. Compared with the huge amounts of the sun, Captain Marvel is just one person. It really looks too small. Like a mayfly shaking a tree, ants eating elephants is really ridiculous. But at this moment, Captain Marvel didn't think there was anything ridiculous, because her punch had already been thrown out. Boom! Huge amounts of energy fluctuations cover almost the entire Milky Way, and all the planets in the entire Milky Way are under this energy fluctuation, like a boat on the water, being pushed by the waves and wanting to disperse. Some planets receded only a little bit, but some planets receded directly by a full light-year distance. Captain Marvel originally thought that this punch of his would be able to completely annihilate the sun. Then I can take advantage of the victory to pursue and get rid of the threat of 343 as soon as possible. But then Captain Marvel found that his punch did not hit the sun, because the sun had disappeared. In an instant, the sun disappeared, but instead, a person appeared in front of him. 343 suddenly appeared in front of Captain Marvel and grabbed Captain Marvel's fist. Captain Marvel had been brewing a punch for a long time, but in front of 343, it seemed like a child's slapstick, not worth mentioning. Captain Marvel was completely bewildered by 343's actions. She really didn't understand why 343 would do this. Obviously, this should be a fierce battle, but for some reason, under 343's disturbance, it looks more like a farce. From the beginning to the end, I was like a joker, being made fun of by 34. This filled Captain Marvel's heart with anger, and the anger was burning in her heart. But 343 still looked at Captain Marvel like a kind grandfather, and then said to Captain Marvel, "Girl, goodbye." After 343 finished speaking, he waved his hand back, and a space passage appeared in front of the two of them. What are you going to do? Looking at this space channel, a trace of fear flashed across Captain Marvel's eyes, because she already guessed what 343 wanted to do. The other party wants to exile her. This is a completely unpositioned multi-universe teleportation channel. Does anyone know where this passage leads? It may be this universe, or it may be other universes. Any corner of the entire multi-universe is possible for a total of 4.5, but it also includes the universe dominated by those demon lords. Once thrown into it, there is almost no way to come back in this life. So the moment he saw this transmission channel, Captain Marvel immediately wanted to struggle, but it was too late. 343 directly grabbed Captain Marvel's hand and threw her into it. You bloody be asterisk 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 D. I'll be back. Captain Marvel could only be thrown into the tunnel by 343 in an angry roar, and then there would be no more Captain Marvel in this universe. If it weren't for the fact that there are not enough containment facilities to contain her, it would actually be a good choice for President Jiang to contain her. It is not difficult for 343 to subdue Captain Marvel, but it is not so easy to get rid of Captain Marvel. That's why 343 chose this method and exiled Captain Marvel directly. Even if Captain Marvel can find a way to come back in the future, it will be a long time later. At that time, I believe that the Foundation will already have the means to contain these destructive guys. And after finishing all this, 343 immediately turned his head and walked towards the Earth. Now on Earth, there is a much tougher opponent to deal with. Moreover, 343 was also notified by Jiang Bai that Ancient One was about to fail. Otherwise, 343 would not be so anxious to solve Captain Marvel.
The end.
Chapter 120. On the Earth. Ancient One was already sweating profusely at this moment and looked extremely embarrassed. A quaint long gown has long been soaked in sweat, and the robe has also been cut, and some scars can still be seen from the broken robe. The Guardian formation was also closed because Ancient One was exhausted. It can be said that Ancient One has lost, and lost quite thoroughly. In comparison, Odin looks much better. Even if there are some embarrassments on the body, they are all within the acceptable range. Basically, it can't be seen that Odin is injured, although the Asgard gods around him are not in a good condition at the moment. Especially Thor, it can be said that he is almost covered in injuries. After all, without the strength of a level god father, if you want to intervene in the battle between the heavenly fathers, you will definitely be beaten badly. Ancient One, give up. Odin looked at Ancient One's appearance, and there was a bit of unbearable flash in his eyes. You are in this state. You can no longer continue to fight. The dark energy should be eroding your body, right? If you continue to fight, I can guarantee that you will die. In the past, in order to pursue the mysteries of magic, Ancient One was once overthrown by a demon lord in a different space, and his body is still being eroded by dark energy. Once the dark energy completely erodes Ancient One's body, then Ancient One is really dead. As an old friend of Ancient One, I actually don't want to see Ancient One die because of the erosion of dark energy, but Ancient One must prevent himself from getting Leviathan. This is about his life. Naturally, it is impossible for Odin to regress, so he can only try to persuade Ancient One as much as possible and let Ancient One get out of the way. This is good for everyone, and Odin can also feel that his current situation is not optimistic. 12. Because of the prolonged battle, the energy in the body became restless again. If he continued to fight, he might fall into Odin's sleep again, and by then it would really be a week of loss. So Odin really doesn't want to continue fighting. But Ancient One was not so stubborn. Faced with Odin's words, he just shook his head, and then mana appeared in Ancient One's hands again. Odin, if you quit now, I will do everything possible to help you. But if you must take Leviathan, it will destroy the earth, and I will never agree. Ancient One also didn't want to be an enemy of Odin, or else it wouldn't have wanted to acquiesce in Odin's action of taking Leviathan away from the beginning. But later, under the persuasion of Jiang Bai, he decided to stop it. Now that a decision has been made, Ancient One will naturally not change its decision. You won't agree? Odin looked at Ancient One, who was already in a state of distress, with a tired face, and suddenly laughed. Ancient One, look at what else you can do to stop me now. I treat you as a friend, only then will I repeatedly advise you to let you leave here. That doesn't mean I'm afraid of you. As Odin spoke, the stars behind him seemed to tremble immediately. These are not real stars, but Odin's magic turned into a sea of stars. Odin is showing his power to Ancient One. His power is like this sea of stars, which will never be exhausted. If Ancient One must be his enemy, then what awaits Ancient One will be Odin's stormy attack. The previous Odin didn't even use his full strength in the battle with Ancient One. If you don't go all out, it will be too late. So Odin hopes that Ancient One can get out of the way, because even Odin can't guarantee that Ancient One will survive once he does it next. But Ancient One just smiled, then shook his head resolutely. Odin, I still say the same thing. I am Sorcerer Supreme. My responsibility is to protect this world. I will not back down. Hearing that Ancient One still refused to give in, Odin's face turned completely cold. At this time, Yuanka, who had been watching the play, also asked Jiang Bai in an uncomfortable sentence. Sir, do we really not care? Hearing what Yuanka said, King Ada and Natasha Romanoff also looked at Jiang Bai. Generally speaking, at this time, shouldn't it be the time for Jiang Bai and his foundation to make a move? President, do we really not care about it? Natasha Romanoff also asked Jiang Bai. Tong Yi didn't want to fight Odin at all. The main reason is that Jiang Bai tricked Ancient One into attacking Odin. Now that Ancient One has been beaten like this by Odin, why doesn't Jiang Bai say to help? It seems that if it continues like this, Ancient One will probably kill Odin directly. But Jiang Bai just shook his head. Not yet. Not yet? Natasha Romanoff looked at Jiang Bai suspiciously, wondering if what the other party said was not yet the time. Was it not yet? 343 hasn't come back yet. I can't stop Odin now. Jiang Bai really can't solve Odin now. At most, his ability can guarantee that he will not be injured in front of Odin, but more can't do it. And if Odin uses something like a curse, Jiang Bai is not sure whether his ability can work on this kind of thing. So now we have to wait for 343 to come back. As long as 343 comes back, everything will be fine. Ancient One and 343 are here. Even if Odin tries his best, he can't get Leviathan. So in fact, the key to this battle for Leviathan is no longer the battle between Odin and Ancient One. Because of the battle between them, the result has already been doomed. Ancient One must not be Odin's opponent. Now the real key is the battle between 343 and Captain Marvel. At this moment, apart from Jiang Bai, Fury is also anxiously waiting for the result to appear. On the ship of SHIELD, Fury stared at the sky nervously and anxiously. He wanted to see for himself how Captain Marvel would look like when he returned from victory, because this also indicates that in the days to come, their SHIELD is still the most powerful organization in the world. The justice and peace of this world still need their SHIELD to maintain. The Foundation is just a group of mice hiding in the dark, don't care at all. Definitely the premise is that Captain Marvel is going to beat 343. This will only become a reality when Captain Marvel returns victorious. So Fury almost bet everything in their SHIELD on this battle. He hoped that the first one to appear before his eyes was Captain Marvel, rather than the suspected godlike existence of the Foundation. Even at this moment, Fury still has some regrets. If he had known that the Foundation had the existence to fight Captain Marvel, perhaps he would not have summoned Captain Marvel, but would have regarded Captain Marvel as his trump card. But now that the result is already like this, it seems that thinking about it will not help. Therefore, Fury could only quietly wait for the moment when the result would appear with an apprehensive heart. But Tony beside him didn't seem to care so much about it. So Director Nick Fury, why on earth do you have to fight the Foundation? And things have already happened. And you are constantly worrying here, and it doesn't help, right? Tony is really getting more and more displeased with Fury. Before, he just felt that Fury had a lot of eyes and was not worthy of trust. But now Tony found more problems in Fury. First of all, when it comes to doing things, Fury's doing things now are not as vigorous as when he was in S.H.I.E.L.D. Instead, he is full of calculations everywhere. Tony, who has had a lot of contact with SHIELD, can't say at this moment when these changes in Fury started. Perhaps it was after the Foundation appeared, but it is also possible that the appearance of the Foundation was just an inducement. It just revealed Fury's true nature ahead of time. But whatever the outcome, at least from Tony's point of view, SHIELD has a big problem right now. Tony, what the hell are you trying to say? Right now our biggest enemy is the Foundation. We are the enemy of our SHIELD. Our competitors. They are taking away the honor that belongs to our SHIELD. Fame, status, and the advantage of benefits? Tony looked at Fury, who was hesitant to speak with disdain. Fury, I really don't know when you started to become like this, but I think you did something wrong. SHIELD is an organization that maintains peace and protects human beings. At least in SHIELD's own eyes, it is indeed such an organization. We were meant to be. How much we've protected over the years. As soon as Fury heard this, he immediately wondered how many missions SHIELD had completed under his leadership and how many people's lives and properties had been insured. But Tony didn't want to hear Fury talking about past glory and present talk with him here, because he is not an investor of SHIELD, let alone a member of the council. He's just someone who wants to remind Fury. Fury, what you said is a thing of the past, and I have never heard of an orphanage going out of its way to destroy another orphanage, unless the orphanage is not an orphanage at all. Tony looked at Fury with a cold face, and then said in a particularly cold tone, I think you should understand what I mean, Director Nick Fury. Fury just fell silent when he heard Tony's words. He actually understood what Tony meant. What they really should care about now is not the Foundation, nor is it about competing with the Foundation. Because from Tony's point of view, it's a completely unnecessary thing to do. Both SHIELD and the Foundation are organizations that are doing their best for this world and for mankind. At least that's how SHIELD used to be, before the Foundation threatened SHIELD's status. And ever since the Foundation came along, SHIELD has changed. What SHIELD wants to do is not how to make it better, but thinking of various ways to destroy the Foundation. 553 seems like that's what SHIELD can get. This seemed stupid to Tony, a very stupid thing to do. That's why he said these words to Fury, hoping that Fury could think about what he did before. But it was obvious that Fury was completely on top now, and he didn't take these things Tony said to heart at all. Tony, what do you mean by that? It's all my problem. Fury looked at Tony in disbelief. Anyway, Tony saved his life by himself. If he hadn't told Tony the secret left by his father, Tony would have died of palladium poisoning long ago. Now Tony still talks about himself like that? This incident is revenge. Not you. Tony sneered at Fury. It's the whole SHIELD. Following Tony's words, Captain America, who had been watching silently by the side, finally spoke up. Director Nick Fury, I have always suspected that there are undercover agents in S.H.I.E.L.D. I hope you can put more energy into rectifying the inside of SHIELD, thoroughly investigate it from top to bottom, instead of fighting to the death with the Foundation here. What do you mean? Fury didn't take Captain America's words to heart at first, thinking that maybe Captain America, like Tony, was intimidated by the power of the Foundation, so he said these words. But then Captain America's words directly stunned Fury. Are there undercover agents inside SHIELD? How can that be? Their SHIELD is the entire beautiful country, and it is the largest agent organization in the world. All major organizations have their agents. How could there be anyone lurking in their agent ancestor-level organization? But looking at Captain America and Tony's serious faces, it really didn't look like they were joking, which made Fury worry. Is there really an undercover agent inside SHIELD? This is impossible. Fury's mind was spinning 1,000 times at the moment, and many things flashed through his mind. He was analyzing and thinking, is there really an undercover agent among them SHIELD? Just when Fury was about to think of something, suddenly a holy white light lit up in the sky again. 343 returned to Earth. For a time, all humans cheered and jumped up, because God won. But Fury only felt that his head was hit by a hammer, and he passed out on the spot.
The end?
Chapter 121. Odin has raised his own trident at this moment, and the violent magical energy is gestating terror behind him. Silent, but terrifying. Even under this terrifying power, Leviathan, who has been sleeping since the Cambrian period until now, seemed to be startled by this terrifying power and began to agitate restlessly. It's like waking up at any time due to the threat of Odin's power. Ancient One was silent for a while, looking at Odin's powerful power. He had no idea how he should face Odin's terrifying power. The current Ancient One is actually seriously injured, not by Odin. Although Odin didn't hold back, Ancient One is Odin's friend after all, so Odin tried not to attack Ancient One's vitals, mainly wanting to subdue Ancient One directly. Until now, Ancient One really refused to listen to persuasion and must stop Odin. Odin has no choice but to subdue Ancient One directly and get Leviathan as soon as possible. I never thought that SHIELD would have such a backhand. Ancient One looked in front of him, already raising his strength to the limit. Odin, who trembled in front of the entire star sea, showed a helpless, wry smile on his face. In fact, there was the Foundation, and Ancient One thought it might be able to stop Odin. Especially when 343 appeared at the moment. He deliberately and immediately realized that 343 was a stronger existence than himself. If you join forces with 343, it is actually not that difficult to stop Odin. After all, no matter how powerful Odin is, he can only back away from two opponents of the same level. But even Ancient One didn't expect that SHIELD actually had a level Godfather's helper. 343 had to deal with this SHIELD person first, so he had to face Odin alone. From the looks of it right now, the battle between the opponent and SHIELD's helpers in space might not be able to end in a short time. But I couldn't hold it anymore. It looked like he was about to fall into Odin's hands. But as long as Odin can be held back as much as possible before 343 comes back, all these sacrifices are worth it. It's just a pity that I haven't found a suitable successor for my Sorcerer Supreme position. In fact, if it wasn't because Jiang Bai is not from this world, and he is already the president of the Foundation, he should be the best heir to his position as Sorcerer Supreme. Some thoughts kept running through Ancient One's mind, all of which were his own random thoughts. This made Ancient One couldn't help showing a self-deprecating smile. Is he really a sentimental person? He was obviously about to die, but he was still thinking about some irrelevant things. Ancient One, I also hope that you can survive this blow. Seeing Ancient One's stubborn appearance, Odin couldn't help sighing. In fact, he now wanted Ancient One to survive, so he turned around and ran away. At least this way he didn't have to kill Ancient One himself. But it's a pity that my old friend is really not ordinary stubborn. Farewell, my friend. As Odin said, the magical energy condensed on his trident instantly turned into a black death, rushing towards Ancient One. Odin's daughter Hela is the god of death. Odin himself also shot the power, but his and Hela's power of death is just a part of the concept of the goddess of death obtained by using magic. But although this is only part of it, it is the power of one of the 5 abstract concepts after all. That strong force filled with endless death and destruction affected the entire world in an instant. All the people present who saw this torrent of Odin, the power of death, couldn't help but have a thought in their hearts. Seek death. They suddenly feel that their entire life has become meaningless. They want to commit suicide and think that only in this way can they realize and prove the meaning of their life. And at the same time, countless flowers and trees around the world are constantly dying. In a blink of an eye, more than 100,000 species have been completely extinct, and they all died of self-destruction. At the same time, the sun in the sky seems to be dimming constantly. In the entire galaxy, many planets are constantly withering like flowers. Stepping into death looking at all this, Ancient One once again deeply understood the gap between himself and Odin. If it wasn't for the friendship between himself and Odin, Odin couldn't help but be merciful. Maybe he has already died under Odin's hand? Thinking of these, the wry smile on Ancient One's face became more and more obvious. After all, he was too weak. Feeling the pain from one side of his body like 10,000 insects devouring his body, Ancient One knew that he could no longer suppress the dark energy. Maybe even if he can save a life from Odin's men this time, he will definitely die under the erosion of dark energy. Thinking about it this way, Ancient One began to feel that it was a good thing to die under Odin's hands. At least in this way, I don't have to watch myself being swallowed by dark energy little by little with my own eyes, and the pain is even more than being killed by Odin like this. However, the moment Odin's death force hit the Ancient One, the sky suddenly turned into a piece of holy white, a white light like milk, like a jade pillar connecting the sky and the earth, covering Ancient One inside. Odin's powerful death force directly hit him, but it didn't have any effect. On the contrary, it melted constantly under this force. And those species that had already begun to self-destruct under the power of death, and even the celestial bodies in the sky were restored in a blink of an eye. It was as if all this was just a dream. What? Odin watched this scene, and suddenly felt a chill in his heart. He knew that this was the strong man from the Foundation coming back. Damn it, SHIELD is really useless, it can't even delay time. Obviously, it was about to succeed, but now it fell short. How can this be accepted by Odin? But now that the other party has returned, it seems that he really has no chance. Thinking of this, Odin felt even more restless in his heart. But watching this scene, Ada Wong and the others were all relieved. Just now Odin's terrifying power of death even affected them, and they were about to lose interest in this world. Fortunately, 343 came back soon and directly blocked Odin's attack. This also successfully allowed Ada Wong and the others to come out of the sadness and despair. Master, is this the 343 you mentioned? This seems to be God. King Ada and Natasha Romanoff all looked at Jiang Bai with puzzled expressions at the moment. They have also seen the scene when 343 gave blessings to the whole world before. In fact, at that time, 80% of them believed that 343 was the legendary god, but Jiang Bai directly denied this. But now 343 made another move. With such strength, besides God, they really can't think of any existence that can be so powerful. 343 is not God. He is just a powerful existence who thinks he is the creator of the universe, and the victims of the Foundation are false gods. False god. Ada Wong and Natasha Romanoff naturally understand what this means, which means that 343 is not the real god, but a fake one. He has some godlike abilities, but in fact his main performance is almost omnipotent, but not completely omnipotent. Similarly, he is only multi-knowledge, not omniscient. The manifestation of God is the first cause of eternity, the beginning of everything, and the existence of omniscience and omnipotence. But 343 is not the case. 343 is almost omnipotent and omniscient. He can do many things and knows many things. But these are still far from God, omniscient and omnipotent, let alone the first cause, the more conceptual existence of the beginning of everything. So after many experiments and investigations by the Foundation, they finally determined that 343 is a false god, not the real God. The simplest point is that 343 can't even wipe out 682 completely. But in the Foundation's containment, there is actually something that can obliterate 682, but that thing is full of uncertainties, and it is extremely risky for the Foundation to use it rashly. That's why they didn't use this kind of thing to execute 682. Is that so? King Ada nodded thoughtfully, as if he had some understanding of Jiang Bai's words. On the other hand, Natasha Romanoff still looked puzzled. She still doesn't understand. They are already so powerful, but 343 is still not God. So does God really exist in the Foundation's containment? If Jiang Bai knew what Natasha Romanoff was thinking at the moment, he would probably just be dumbfounded. If God exists, it should at least be the Supreme Divinity. As for the Supreme Divinity, there are actually very few of them in the Foundation's containment, because they are too difficult to contain. Even the stags that were deceived by the Foundation have extremely strict containment methods, and they are quite cruel and bloody. It can be said that it is simply not something that humans can do, let alone God. Moreover, in the Foundation's files, it seems that God is only mentioned a little bit, but like Marvel, it doesn't clarify the situation of God at all. Now that 343 has come back, this matter is considered. Jiang Bai just wanted to say that the situation has been decided. But suddenly he found that the ground under his feet was shaking constantly, and the sea was constantly churning. It was as if the entire ocean was about to boil. In an instant, Jiang Bai understood what had happened. Leviathan, it's awake. The most worrying thing still happened. Leviathan actually woke up at this juncture. But if you think about it carefully, if Leviathan doesn't wake up, there seems to be a real problem. The Ancient One and Odin are fighting right above his head, both beings capable of destroying the world. Even for Leviathan, they are quite powerful enemies. This is the equivalent of two lions fighting each other in front of a sleeping bull. In this case, it is outrageous enough that the bull did not wake up, not to mention another lion followed. The appearance of 343 can be regarded as completely awakening Leviathan. So many powerful creatures are around Leviathan. This strong sense of crisis, as long as Leviathan is still a living creature, will definitely be awakened. Because if he didn't wake up again, Leviathan might really be hunted down. And when Leviathan woke up, following his every move, the entire Pacific Ocean was like a pot of soup being shaken by someone. Surging sea, with an unprecedented tsunami came, and with Leviathan's awakening, every movement of his huge amounts of body would cause huge amounts of power to be transmitted to other continental plates, causing a strong earthquake. And because of the earthquake, it will also lead to intensified volcanic activation. Many volcanoes started to erupt during the earthquake. According to this situation, if it continues, something big will happen. The prelude to the destruction of the world has appeared because of Leviathan's awakening. This is why the Ancient One was reluctant to let Odin take Leviathan away. It's really easy for them to destroy a planet. Whether it's Ancient One or Odin, it only takes one blow to completely destroy a planet. But how difficult it is for them to protect a planet. With the power of the Marvel multi-universe, destruction is far more powerful than creation. Under other power systems, perhaps Odin and Ancient One already existed forever. But in the Marvel multi-universe, they are still receiving various restrictions. Odin lived a long life, but one day came to an end. Ancient One is even shorter than Odin, and his body is constantly aging. They can't even guarantee their own eternal life, so it goes without saying that they are going to protect the Earth. They may be able to stabilize the sea so that tsunamis cannot hit surrounding countries. But he cannot solve other problems such as earthquakes, because this kind of impact will exist for a long time, and it is possible that the Earth will still be there in 10, 20, or 30 years. Because of today's events, a large-scale disaster occurred. This is where it gets really scary. But these are only for them, and these problems for 343 are still easy to deal with. Because he wasn't from this Marvel in the first place. It is the existence of the Foundation world, and it is also the kind of existence that is best at creating reality benders still. So 343 had already taken action the moment Leviathan woke up. He will center on Leviathan, and all time in the vicinity will be suspended. Time is starting to get out of touch. The end. Chapter 122. Leviathan is a huge amounts of marine arthropods comparable to two beautiful lands. Its whole body is covered with a hard carapace. For this not-so-solid world, the existence of Leviathan is like a terrifying opportunity to destroy the world. Threatened by Odin, Ancient One, in 343, Leviathan awoke from years of sleep. His body was only slightly shaken, and the Pacific Ocean was already disturbed. These people standing on his back felt even more as if the whole world was shaking. The captain of the Red Right Hand immediately used his strength to bring Jiang Bai and the others to Containment. Avoiding the shaking when Leviathan woke up, besides Jiang Bai and the others, there were also those from S.H.I.E.L.D., where only Captain America, Fury, and Tony came to the sky. The key is these three people. Among them, Captain America and Fury are both carried by Tony on his shoulders, leading them to the sky. Looking at Jiang Bai and others not far away, Fury's eyes flickered with raging anger. At the moment, he really wanted to go up and fight Jiang Bai and the others to the death, but his rationality told Fury that any action he took now would have 10 dead ends. His biggest reliance on Captain Marvel was obviously defeated by 343, and these people in his hands are not Jiang Bai's opponents at all. Not to mention whether Tony will listen to him, Captain America and Tony alone will definitely not be able to defeat Jiang Bai and those under him. So I can only endure it, and can only wait for an opportunity to come. We must find more helpers. Fury knew that he wanted to continue competing with the Foundation. If he wants to take back everything that originally belonged to SHIELD from the Foundation, he must find more helpers. Only with the help of these people will he have a chance to defeat the Foundation. Therefore, the plan to expand strength and recruit more talents also planted seeds in Fury's heart. On the other side, after Leviathan appeared, 343 immediately suspended the time in the Pacific Ocean. Although Leviathan was not affected, the entire Pacific Ocean was suspended for 540 hours. No matter what Leviathan's activities are, the Pacific Ocean will not have any reaction because of Leviathan's activities. The birds in the sky, the waves on the sea, and the fish in the water, all still. Only Jiang Bai and other human beings, as well as Leviathan, Ancient One and Odin, these powerful existences were not affected by the 343 pause time. Pause time? It really makes people think of a way. Let time pause, and this hand Odin will too. He can even make time go backwards, but he can't do it like 343 if the time is suspended on a large scale. They are generally limited to a certain person, or certain scenes to do so. And like 343, the time in the entire Pacific Ocean was directly suspended. In Odin's impression, there is only one Dongshu who can do it, and that is Time Gem. As long as you have Time Gem, you can change and control time at will. 343 heard Odin's words, looked up at Odin, and said, "Now are you leaving by yourself? Or should I send you away?" 343 doesn't intend to talk nonsense with Odin. The current situation is already obvious, and Odin is at a disadvantage, or it is possible for Odin to resist. The most sensible thing to do at this time is to leave honestly. Although Odin was full of resignation, after seeing 343's non-negotiable appearance and the cold appearance of Ancient One beside him, he also understood that he had no choice. There is only one way in front of him now, and that is to leave directly. The Foundation, what an unexpected opponent. Although Odin was unwilling, he finally chose to leave after heaving a long sigh. I lost this time, and then I will send someone to send a gift of apology as our Asgard apology for this reckless action against the Earth. After all, Odin is a generation of god kings who can afford it and let it go. Seeing that 343, an Ancient One, wanted to join forces to deal with him, he immediately gave up. He even offered to apologize. Jiang Bai didn't say anything about it, but acquiesced. Because this is the Earth after all, if you really want to kill BCCG, Odin here, at least half of the Earth will be destroyed. What's more, Jiang Bai doesn't want 343, an Ancient One, to fight against Odin, which is completely meaningless. So in the end, Jiang Bai acquiesced to these actions of Odin, that is, he acquiesced to Odin's departure. Thank you. Odin looked at Jiang Bai curiously. He could see that although Jiang Bai was very strange, he should not be the opponent of 343, an Ancient One. Especially since Ancient One has known him for so many years, Odin really has never seen when Ancient One would be so convincing to others. But Jiang Bai was able to do this, and he was the kind that made Ancient One willing. This also made Odin have to admire Jiang Bai's ability. Dominate the strong with the weak? This is something Odin never thought about. Shaking his head slightly and chuckling, Odin wanted to leave immediately. That's right. Odin, who was about to leave, suddenly looked back at Jiang Bai. Loki, is my idiot son all right? Although Loki is not Odin's biological son, he is even of the blood of Asgard's feuding Frost Kirin. But after all, Odin has raised Loki for so many years, and Odin has long regarded Loki as his own son. Originally, Odin didn't intend to ask about Loki. After all, the other party has betrayed Asgard, but out of a father's psychology, Odin had to ask a question. Loki? Jiang Bai looked at Odin with some surprise. He thought Odin might not have cared about Loki. After all, Odin has come to snatch Leviathan and wants to use Leviathan to prolong his life, which also shows that he should be disappointed by the two successors, Thor and Loki. But disappointment is disappointment. This is his son after all. How could Odin really have no feelings when he brought up such a big child little by little? Jiang Bai also saw the worry and tension towards Loki in Odin's eyes, and couldn't help feeling a little bit in his heart. It really is a tiger's poison. Immediately, Jiang Bai nodded to Odin with a smile. Loki has become a member of the Foundation, and he is doing things for the Foundation. I can guarantee that he will be even more outstanding than in Asgard. Hearing Jiang Bai's words, a gratified smile suddenly appeared on Odin's face. If that's the case, that's fine. Although Loki is smart, he is extreme and likes to use unscrupulous methods. He is only smart, but far from great wisdom. Odin is indeed the person who raised Loki, and he knows all about Loki's advantages and certainties. Loki is indeed smart, but it's just a little cleverness. He doesn't have great wisdom. Instead, he must retaliate, and he doesn't have a big picture. Many things are done according to their own preferences. Therefore, in Odin's view, Loki is really not a material for being a king, and even more unsuitable to be a king than Thor. It is precisely because of this that Odin did not leave the position of king of Asgard to Loki. This is not just because Loki is not a member of the Aesir Protoss, but also because Loki does not have the aura of a king. But Loki doesn't accept this, and thinks it's Odin's eccentricity. It is because he is not a member of the Aesir Protoss, so Odin is deliberately repelling himself and neglecting himself, treating himself and Thor differently. So Loki is jealous of Thor, wants to kill Thor, and wants Odin to admit that he is better than Thor. Odin also understands this, but it is precisely because of this that Odin feels that Loki is even less qualified to be king. Therefore, when Jiang Bai said that Loki had changed in the Foundation, Odin was actually very surprised. From Odin's point of view, Loki is already that. It is very difficult to change in the future, but how long has he been in the Foundation? It has changed now? Is this impossible? Nothing is impossible. The essence of Loki just needs some recognition. Sometimes this kind of thing is actually easy to give. Jiang Bai naturally knew what Odin was questioning in his heart at this moment. But Jiang Bai didn't care. So many troublesome, anomalous objects the Foundation can take care of, let alone an awkward Loki. It is actually very simple to solve his problem. Just give him what he wants. Just like training a dog, it doesn't take much effort to get it done. It's just that none of the previous Odins thought of doing this. Hearing what Jiang Bai said, Odin was also silent for a while. Is it true that the way I educated them before was wrong? But as a father, shouldn't he educate his children in this way? Odin can't figure out what's wrong with his own education method? But since Jiang Bai has already said so, he can only choose to believe in Jiang Bai. President Jiang, since you have already said this, I also believe that Loki's child will be able to get a better education and development in your Foundation. This time, we Asgard lost. Long apology. If you can bend and stretch, you will be a real man. As a generation of god kings and conquerors of the 9 realms, Odin naturally understands this truth. So Dang Lian apologized to Jiang Bai with a serious face. Seeing Odin like this, Jiang Bai also nodded slightly. Asgard and the Earth will still be neighbors in the future, and there will still be mutual support. This incident should be regarded as a misunderstanding, and it will be revealed. Jiang Bai was very angry and erased this incident. After all, he didn't expect to be able to take Odin down either. If you really do it, even if Odin can't beat the combination of Ancient One and 343, it can have an irreversible impact on the Earth. This is not in line with the Foundation's consistent purpose, so Jiang Bai didn't do anything to Odin, but let Odin leave. President Jiang, I'm leaving. I'll give you an explanation on this matter in a moment. After Odin finished speaking, he turned around and tore open a space passage in front of him, bringing all the Aesir Protoss back to Asgard. After watching Odin and the others disappear, Jiang Bai also stretched his waist, and then looked at Leviathan, who was still restless in the Pacific Ocean with a tired face. Now Odin's problem is solved. Now it's time for the big guy. Leviathan doesn't seem to have a high IQ. It's just a normal animal's IQ, relying on instinct to guard against the Ancient One and 343 in the sky. But yes, it didn't take the initiative to launch an attack. Instead, he carefully stared at the two of them. From the appearance point of view, Leviathan is somewhat like a trilobite-like creature, covered with carapace, with huge amounts of body and no obvious neck. The whole body presents an oval shape, and the mouth is also the mouthparts of a long-sword bug. It is densely packed with sharp razor teeth, and it can be seen that he is not a vegetarian. It's just that with its huge amounts of body, there is no big difference in appearance whether eating meat or vegetarian. Anyway, among the animals on the earth, even the biggest blue whale is not just a bacterium to him. It can be swallowed directly without chewing. Leviathan? 343 looked at Leviathan, seemed to really know this creature, and muttered a little unexpectedly. Ancient One glanced at 343 suspiciously. In his opinion, since 343 is a member of the Foundation, he should have known Leviathan a long time ago. Why did he still look surprised? But then 343 waved his hand, and a warm light fell on Leviathan's body. Leviathan thought that 343 was going to attack it, and immediately wanted to resist. But when this light fell on it, a deep sleepiness suddenly came to my heart. Leviathan was awakened because of the battle between Odin and Ancient One. Actually, it's still sleepy. Under the influence of 343's power, sleepiness quickly occupied its brain. Almost without any accident, Leviathan fell down again, and fell into a deep sleep in the ocean. A crisis was easily resolved by 343. Ancient One looked at all this with disbelief all over his face. He never expected that 343 could solve Leviathan's problem so easily. However, just when Ancient One wanted to ask about the specific situation of 343, Jiang Bai suddenly came in front of Ancient One and asked 10 questions. Master Ancient One, have you considered being contained by our Foundation? The Zero End. Chapter 123. Goo. I didn't realize it all at once. Jiang Bai, what does this mean? Containment? Ancient One looked at Jiang Bai and ran through his mind for a while. If the containment is not mistaken, it should be locked up by their Foundation, right? Ancient One's expression darkened immediately. President Jiang, are you picking me up? Ancient One feels that the relationship between himself and Jiang Bai cannot be said to be very good, but it is still harmonious, right? Now that Jiang Bai says he wants to take him in, isn't he trying to arrest him? This made Ancient One's complexion change immediately, and he looked at Jiang Bai with displeasure, while his eyes were flickering from side to side. It seems that they want to find an opportunity and run away directly. However, Jiang Bai obviously also saw the misunderstanding of Ancient One, and immediately said to Ancient One, Master Ancient One, you misunderstood. I mean, would you like to join our Foundation? Join the Foundation? Hearing this, Ancient One really felt a little hesitation. In fact, for Ancient One, joining the Foundation is not a big deal. The organization in the Marvel world actually feels more like a club. New ones appear almost every day, and some die every day. Avengers, X-Men, and the like are relatively mainstream and official. In addition, there are some organizations that are not so famous, or even hidden in the dark. Like the future disciple of Ancient One, Doctor Strange. He is a member of the Avengers, he is also a member of the Defenders, and he even has a place in the mysterious Illuminati. Marvel superheroes, in essence, already have the potential to be agents or undercover agents. Perhaps it is also a feature of the Marvel world? There are all kinds of organizations all over the place. Obviously, they are all similar in nature, but they insist on separating out many organizations with different names. Even members of these organizations, who are hostile to each other at other times, are companions in this organization. This is not uncommon. It is precisely because of this that Ancient One did not refuse Jiang Bai's invitation, but began to think about the feasibility. He felt that Jiang Bai's invitation was completely feasible. What kind of existence is the Foundation? In fact, Gu has always been very curious, but he has never had the opportunity to understand everything about the Foundation. And now is an opportunity to let Ancient One know about the Foundation. So Ancient One is in hesitation. Do you want to join the Foundation? President Jiang, what do I need to do to join the Foundation? Although Ancient One is very excited about Jiang Bai's proposal, it is under careful consideration. He still needs to ask clearly what he needs to do in the Foundation. Master Ancient One, You only need to choose some people in the Foundation who you can trust to teach them the magic of this world, and when necessary, cooperate with our actions. Although I will also include you in the Foundation a roster for a game, but absolutely nothing will be done to you. Anomalies generally require supervision, but Ancient One does not. He is an Asgardian who guards the world. The existence of Ancient One, from a certain point of view, is like 343. It is an existence that is almost impossible to contain, unless the Foundation is willing to use a very high price to restrain a completely harmless existence. But is this necessary? No. So Jiang Bai also doesn't plan to do anything to Ancient One. And after hearing Jiang Bai's words, Yin Yi's face also looked a little better. As long as there are no mandatory things in it, Ancient One is still happy to reach a cooperation with the Foundation. In addition, Jiang Bai took out a bottle of medicine and said to Ancient One, "In addition, I have an Ancient One master here, a condition that you absolutely cannot refuse." In fact, Ancient One planned to join the Foundation, but after hearing what Jiang Bai said, he didn't rush to agree, but looked at Jiang Bai curiously. Ancient One thinks that even if he is not a saint, he is not far behind. There are very few things in this world that can make you tempted. So Ancient One is curious about what makes Jiang Bai confident to say such a thing. This is one of the anomalous objects owned by our Foundation. Anomalous object, 5 million elixir. A panacea? Ancient One looked at Jiang Bai even more suspiciously. My body should be free from any ailments. Ancient One's body has already been immune to more than 90% of the virus. So when he was about to say that Jiang Bai's panacea had no effect on him, he suddenly stopped. Because he thought of another thing. He thought that there is indeed something on his body that is constantly eroding his body. But that's not a virus, it's energy. Ancient One immediately looked at Jiang Bai in disbelief, and then asked, "President Jiang, the panacea in your hand can cure the dark energy in me, right?" Dark energy erosion, this is the most painful thing for Ancient One. Although Ancient One is immune to almost all diseases, but when faced with the erosion of dark energy, Ancient One has to admit that he really has nothing to do. I can only watch myself struggling constantly in this pain, and then gradually walking towards destruction. So Ancient One is really looking forward to it. The panacea in Jiang Bai's hands can solve the erosion of dark energy on itself. But this is not a disease after all, but a means of dark forces. So Ancient One actually didn't have much hope for this. But Jiang Bai didn't even have any hesitation, so he nodded directly. "Master Ancient One, why do you think I took out this thing?" "It's because the panacea can cure the dark energy erosion on your body. Otherwise, I wouldn't say that this is a condition you absolutely cannot refuse." Upon hearing Jiang Bai's words of affirmation, Ancient One immediately became energetic. Not at all the sluggishness of the previous battle. "This panacea can really cure my dark energy erosion?" Somewhat disbelieving, Ancient One confirmed with Jiang Bai again, but the answer was still affirmative, which made Ancient One excited immediately. Ancient One didn't have much time left to live. Over the years, he has been trying to avoid fighting as much as possible, because he is worried that the more intense fighting will cause the dark energy to erode him more and more. But because this time the opponent is Odin, an opponent who can't be defeated even if he tries his best. Therefore, Ancient One has lost too much power due to the battle with Odin, and the erosion of dark energy on Ancient One has reached a critical point. Ancient One may be completely destroyed at any time. So now Jiang Bai said that the panacea in his hand can solve the problem of dark energy erosion, and it is really something that Ancient One cannot refuse. "If this panacea can really cure my dark energy erosion, I will definitely join the Foundation." Originally, Ancient One had already planned to join the Foundation. If they could still get the panacea that could cure themselves, why not do it? What's more, after getting the panacea, I can continue to protect the safety of the world, and I don't have to worry about finding the heir. Think about it for Chi Iba, who doesn't know if his hand is broken or not. Jiang Bai also chuckled, and then put all these strange thoughts behind him, and then took out a panacea and handed it to Ancient One. Since Ancient One is going to join the Foundation, Jiang Bai will naturally not want an Ancient One whose time is running out, but will choose a powerful and intact Ancient One. In this way, there are 343 Ancient One and 2 level Godfathers under his command. Even if Purple Sweet Potato Essence really went crazy and forcibly attacked the Earth, it would be nothing more than seeking a dead end. At present, Jiang Bai is actually most worried about the Purple Sweet Potato Essence. After all, this guy is also the villain of Marvel's upper class. The second is the Planet Devourer, who is defeated by others every day because he doesn't have enough to eat. These two people are almost the most frequent and strongest villains in the Marvel Universe. Definitely, this only refers to the line of the Avengers, And there are others such as Mo Faith, Cyclops, Sidorak and others in other lines. Neither are they fuel-efficient lamps, especially Sidorak, but the existence that has definitely defeated the planet Devourer. Definitely these are all things to come later. What Ancient One is most concerned about now is the elixir in Jiang Bai's hands. Ancient One took the panacea from Jiang Bai's hand and swallowed it without thinking. Master Ancient One, are you not afraid that I will harm you? Seeing Ancient One swallowing the elixir so directly, Jiang Bai asked Ancient One in surprise. But Ancient One just smiled faintly. If you really want to harm me, just relying on this person by your side, I will already be dead. Ancient One is also a truth. Next to Jiang Bai is 343, an existence that can even defeat Odin in his heyday. Ancient One was not Odin's opponent even in its heyday. If Jiang Bai wants to attack Ancient One now, he only needs to let 343 kill Ancient One directly. With the current state of Ancient One, it is estimated that even resistance is impossible. That's why Ancient One is so straightforward, because there's no need to. That's true. Jiang Bai nodded, as if to approve Ancient One's words. And after Ancient One swallowed the elixir, and what a special feeling. After all, it's just medicine. So what's so special about medicine? But Ancient One can clearly feel that after swallowing the elixir, the dark energy that has been hiding in his body and even his soul is constantly fading away. They are returning to the dark world. Really works. Gu looked at Jiang Bai in disbelief. At the beginning, he was just going to the doctor in a hurry, with a half-believing attitude. But after really feeling the changes in his body, he couldn't help feeling deeply grateful to Jiang Bai and the foundation behind him. After all, this really saved me. Moreover, the problem that has been bothering me for so long and has been unable to be solved, in front of Jiang Bai, seems to have no problem at all, and it is easily solved. A panacea went down, and all problems were solved. Isn't this a bit too amazing? However, facing Ancient One's disbelief, Jiang Bai just nodded lightly. As long as it's useful, I'm worried that it won't be useful at all. Master Ancient One, let your expectations be in vain. Looking at the smiling Jiang Bai, a trace of hesitation flashed across Ancient One's face. But then Ancient One bowed his head to Jiang Bai and saluted, then shouted, President, congratulations to the host for containing the anomaly Ancient One, and get a reward of 10,000 SAN value. For a SAN value of 10,000 points, 1 Ancient One and 1 Infinite Gems are worth 1. This makes sense. After all, the power of infinite gems can indeed make a person reach the level of fighting the Heavenly Father. So from this point of view, the existence of a level Godfather is the same as infinite gems, and it is reasonable to have a SAN value of 10,000 points. At the same time, Natasha Romanoff and Ada Wong beside Jiang Bai also looked at this scene with a look of surprise at the moment. This is Ancient One. In the materials they each organized, they only mentioned it, without detailed information, but they were identified as extremely dangerous existences that must not be provoked. The existence that had fought a battle with the Norse god king, Odin before. Apparently he became Jiang Bai's subordinate so easily? This is too unbelievable. While the two girls were still amazed by it at the moment, Jiang Bai said to Ancient One, Master Ancient One, the matter of Leviathan has been completely resolved right now, but I always feel that things are still far away. Not end yet. Yes. Ancient One also nodded. The matter of Leviathan, in my opinion, is just the beginning. I have already noticed that many dark forces are slowly recovering on the earth. Those evil existences in the darkness, eyes on earth again. Gu said with a serious face. He is not echoing Jiang Bai, but he really feels that the crisis of the earth has just begun. And Jiang Bai also has the same view on this. Because Jiang Bai may not be very clear about other things, but the carnality sect has really appeared. The supreme divinities have already set their sights on the ground, and our opponents will only become stronger in the future. I see. Ancient One nodded, then turned and flew away. President, I'm going back to the Magician Holy Place first. If there is anything I need to do in the future, you can contact me anytime. Seeing the back of Ancient One leaving, Jiang Bai was silent for a while, and said to 343, Let's build a base here. You usually stay here to avoid others from disturbing Leviathan's dormancy. By the way, it's time to restore time, right? No problem. 343 nodded, and then snapped his fingers. Time began to pass again, and Jiang Bai and others also planned to return to New York, but no one noticed that the mark of the old lord was appearing in the eyes of Yuank at the moment who was rescued by the Mend. Chapter 124. Ancient One agreed to join the Foundation. which meant that he was officially taken into custody by Jiang Bai. This also made Jiang Bai discover that the containment judgment of the system seems to be relatively loose for those anomalous objects that have a good relationship with the Foundation and can cooperate. As for those tough ones, it is clear that they are anomalous objects that the Foundation does not deal with. The system's judgment on their containment is quite tough, basically expressing clearly that Jiang Bai must completely restrict their actions in order to be considered a successful containment. These seemingly unimportant things also gave Jiang Bai a rough plan for how to contain abnormal objects in the future and how to treat those abnormal objects differently. Congratulations to the host for successfully containing Abnormal Object 169 and receiving the reward Abnormal Object 053. Jiang Bai, who was sitting on the return cruise ship, was stunned when he heard the number, because he immediately remembered who 053 was. Unusual Object 053, codenamed Little Girl. She looks like a well-behaved, cute, and sensible little girl, about 3 years old. It looks harmless to humans and animals, but it is actually harmless to humans and animals. But 053's ability is quite dangerous, and it may even be a rare abnormality that can eliminate 682, an indestructible monster. Because the ability of abnormality, 053, is that as long as she appears in your field of vision, you will involuntarily become manic and try to hurt 053 for more than 10 minutes. But once you attack 053, you will be killed immediately. In the original files of the Foundation, 327 tried to make 053 contact with 682. 682, who was supposed to hate all living beings, didn't want to understand 053's intentions when he met 053, and even let 053 write and draw on his forehead and write on him. You must know that apart from 053, there is only one person who dares to ride on 682's body, and there is nothing wrong with it. That is the person in charge of that large Jiang Bai base, Dr. Kondraki, one of the 4 Apocalypse doctors. He rode on 682's back during the execution of the Duke, but he used his own strength to forcibly ride up. But 053 was 682's default, or it was frightened. Later, among the Foundation's guesses, there was a guess that 682 might know 053's ability, which can be roughly seen from 682's experiments with other abnormal objects. 682 has been exposed to many anomalies, some of which he has fought, also communicated with some of these anomalies. But whether it's fighting or communicating, in this process, 682 has more or less shown some familiarity and recognition of these abnormal objects. Therefore, one of the Foundation's guesses about this experiment is that 682 knows about 053's ability, and this ability of 053 can kill 682. So 682 did not do anything to 053, because he was worried that all his actions might be destroyed. It was judged as an attack tendency towards 053, and thus was killed by 053's ability. That's why 682 acquiesced in all actions of 053, and was extremely tolerant towards 053. But to be honest, in Jiang Bai's opinion, 053 is definitely a dangerous existence, because her ability is uncontrollable and a non-physical existence. That is to say, even Jiang Bai, who has a physical reflection force field, will inevitably not be affected by 053 ability when encountering 053, and even attack 053 in the end, and in the end, because of this attack, he will cause himself death. It can be said that 053 is an enhanced version of Fu Jiang, because Fu Jiang will make the men who see him fall in love with her crazily, and then kill her, and most of those men who fall in love with Fu Jiang will die in the end without knowing why. Even if some survived, they would become lunatics. It seems that Fu Jiang is very dangerous, but compared with 053, Fu Jiang is much inferior. Because 053's ability does not distinguish between men and women, and once any aggressive action is made against 053, it will be killed by 53 ability immediately. He didn't even need to actually cause harm to 053, but the moment he made this move, his own death was already doomed. This is why 053 is considered a cognitohazard. Now the system gave him 053, which instead gave Jiang Bai a headache. This is a double-edged sword and must be kept well. If used well, derogation will become a sharp sword in your hand. But if used badly, 053 will also stab himself. So Jiang Bai felt that he should be cautious when dealing with 053. The containment and management of 053 must be carried out in strict accordance with the containment measures, without the slightest mistake, otherwise a bloody incident will be inevitable. Master, do you seem worried? When Jiang Bai was thinking about how to deal with 053, King Ada suddenly asked Jiang Bai curiously. Nothing. Jiang Bai just shook his head. and then set his eyes on the sea outside the window. It's really peaceful. Yes. Hearing Jiang Bai's exclamation, Natasha Romanoff also nodded, and then picked up a grape and sent it to Jiang Bai's mouth. These days, we have been facing various dangers. I was so busy that I almost couldn't breathe. Since following Jiang Bai, Natasha Romanoff and Ada Wong have been busy with abnormal things. During this period, they really saw all kinds of existence. At the same time, in the midst of these dangers, they are constantly struggling to survive, and there are many dangers. It can be said that in this short period of time, they have already encountered dangers that they may not necessarily encounter in their previous lives. Maybe we'll have more trouble when we get back to New York. Jiang Bai said it easily, but Natasha Romanoff and the second daughter of King Ida were terrified when they heard it. Isn't this a hassle now? The world is almost destroyed. Doesn't it seem like nothing to you? Natasha Romanoff and King Ada are really different. What kind of danger will be waiting for them in the future? But for some reason, none of them thought about escaping from here. On the contrary, I looked forward to it even more. Looking forward to what dangers they will encounter by Jiang Bai's side. This coexistence of apprehension and excitement made them all more excited and active. Seeing the reaction of the second daughter, Jiang Bai couldn't help showing a smile. I really don't see it. You two still have an adventurous spirit? Jiang Bai shook his head as he spoke, and just as he was about to say something, he heard the system prompt sound again. Congratulations to the host Yuank for becoming your believer, and wants to meet the host. Do you agree? Why is there another believer? And Yuank? Which diver is it? Yuank is just a passerby, an existence that has never appeared in the plot. Jiang Bai didn't pay too much attention to him. The other party actually became his believer, although Yuanka was not the first to become a Jiang Bai believer. However, those who would become Jiang Bai believers in the past were all people with a certain ability. Whether it's the artificial intelligence JRVIS or General Ross, they all have a very important position in the plot and can provide Jiang Bai with some help. For example, JRVIS provided all the technologies of Tony's latest anti-Hulk armor to Jiang Bai. General Ross was even more inside and out, helping Jiang Bai deal with many things, monitoring every move for a while. So Jiang Bai didn't understand why this Wuka suddenly became his believer. Generally speaking, the mark of the old lord who independently develops believers will select some people who are useful to Jiang Bai and develop them into believers. As for Yuank, it is obviously not enough for this qualification. Thinking of this, Jiang Bai also felt that something was wrong, so he signaled King Ada and Natasha Romanoff to back down with his eyes. The second daughter was honest, seeing that Jiang Bai deliberately wanted them to leave. He didn't speak, just turned around and left. After the second daughter left, Jiang Bai said to the outside, "Come in." Although Yuank didn't knock on the door, Jiang Bai knew that the other party must be waiting outside. As Jiang Bai's voice fell, Yuank walked in with a look of admiration and fanaticism, and looked at Jiang Bai with great excitement. "Great Lord, your most valued servant, Yuank, is extremely honored to be summoned by the Lord." At this moment, Yuank has no difference from other humans who have been corrupted by the mark of the old Lord, and is completely in the state of a hunter. To be able to sacrifice for Jiang Bai, to give up everything, including life. But because Jiang Bai has always restricted the corruption of the mark of the old master, so he didn't directly swallow his personality like in the restraint system. "Yuank, what ability do you have?" Jiang Bai believes that the mark of the old lord will not casually develop a person into his own believer. Since the other party will become his own believer, there must be something special about him. Following Jiang Bai's inquiry, Yu Tianka also immediately revealed his ability. Reporting to Master, "My ability is to be able to live in the water, and even I am more brisk in the water than on the ground." Sea people? Jiang Bai couldn't help frowning when he heard this. Sea people don't have any special abilities, but they can dive into the deep sea. There are a lot of such existences in Atlantis. If you really want to develop the belief of the sea people, in fact, you can directly develop Namor into your own believers, right? And many more. Jiang Bai suddenly remembered something. A very important thing. It seems that I have never considered developing ocean people to become my believers. Sea people, like human beings, are intelligent creatures. It doesn't even have reproductive isolation, it's just a kind of mutant. In fact, they can also become their own believers, providing themselves with a large amount of SAN value. And if they are there, they can also monitor Leviathan's movement stably. Avoid some guy trying to do something with Leviathan. After thinking of these, Jiang Bai suddenly knew what he should ask Yuank to do. Jiang Bai has always thought about developing his old beliefs in order to increase his SAN income, but never found a suitable one. In Jiang Bai's view, The best objects are some alien planets, because they have nothing to do with the Earth. Developing faith in them will not have any impact on the 5.5 sphere. But thinking about it now, Ocean Man is also a good choice. Because the people of the ocean are also a relatively closed country that hardly interacts with humans on the ground. Developing beliefs for them can minimize the impact of old beliefs on human beings, and can also enough to get a lot of SAN value. This is definitely a pretty good choice. Therefore, after Jiang Bai thought for a while, he decisively decided to develop faith among the sea people. And the role of Yuank will naturally appear. Yuank can move freely in the sea, just like a seaman. This point is very important, because Jiang Bai intends to use Yuank as his messenger to spread the faith to these sea people. Yuank, I hope you can be my emissary, to spread my faith to those lost lambs in the ocean, and guide them on the right path. Are you willing? After hearing Jiang Bai's words, Yuank naturally nodded without any hesitation, and said to Jiang Bai devoutly, "Believers are willing? Very well. I need to go to the underwater kingdom of Atlantis, spread my beliefs to the sea people there, and then gradually expand my beliefs to the entire ocean."
Yes.
Yuank nodded sharply, then turned and left the room with Jiang Bai's tacit consent, and jumped down from the deck and went to Atlantis, which Jiang Yu said, to spread faith for Jiang.
The end.
Chapter 125. Jiang Bai didn't give Yuank too many instructions, not even a little help. Everything is for Yuank to handle by himself. Because he wanted the Haiyang people to spread the old beliefs, this was just Jiang Bai's whim. Is it actually possible? How should it be handled? These are all unknowns. Jiang Bai also didn't have a clear plan. In fact, W*** was given by Jiang Bai as a guinea pig for the experiment. However, Yuank didn't have any opinion about it. Instead, he felt extremely honored, because he was approved by Jiang Bai, so he was entrusted with important tasks. For Yuank, this is a symbol of honor. In order to complete the task assigned by Jiang Bai, even if he is asked to die now, he has no complaints. All the troubles and difficulties encountered along the way will also be regarded by him as a test for Jiang Bai. Under such thinking, Yuank will naturally not question any of Jiang Bai's decisions. He will only believe unconditionally and carry out every order of Jiang Bai. In the deep sea, Yuank just learned the way to Atlantis from a dolphin, and then went to Atlantis without stopping. Just like Yuank himself said, he has the ability to live freely underwater. He is even more relaxed and at ease in the water than on land. Neither the turbulent currents nor the pressure enough to squeeze steel into shapeshifting had any effect on him. In the deep sea, he is as free as a fish. Even though he wasn't from the ocean and didn't even have any blood of the ocean, his performance was no different from those of the ocean, and he could even do better. At the moment, Yuank had only one thought in mind, and that was to fulfill Jiang Bai's order. With this thought in mind, Yuank arrived at his destination soon. The kingdom at the bottom of the sea, the home of the people of the sea. 12 Atlantis. This is an underwater city. Although it seems that the city is not as prosperous as the land city, it is still very lively. Almost all the sea people in the entire Pacific Ocean live here. Under the leadership of Aquaman Namo, they seldom intersect with humans, but live and work here in peace and contentment, enjoying their own lives. Whether it is any danger from the outside world or any terrible things, it has nothing to do with him. This place is like a Geniki, a paradise, and has been living a life without disputes. And Namor protects them like a patron saint, allowing them to live a peaceful life in this place. But when Yuank looked at the city from a distance, he understood why Jiang Bai asked him to come here to spread the old beliefs. Because this place is really suitable for spreading beliefs. The people here are a group of people who have no beliefs and do not understand what beliefs are. Watching them, Yuank deeply understands what is ignorance and what is mediocrity. A person like this, a place like this should indeed accept the faith of our Lord. Thinking of this, Yuank went directly to Atlantis, and he never thought about how to disguise himself. In his eyes, he came to redeem these lost lambs on behalf of the great Lord. He didn't need to cover up, he just had to sprinkle the faith and glory of the great Lord on him. So Yuank went directly to these Atlantis. And in the first time, they were targeted by these sea people. Humanity? Hey, is that human? Why do humans come here? Why can he move freely in the sea like us? Could it be that he is also like a king, a hybrid of human and sea people? There are still some differences between marine people and humans. For example, marine people have gills, but humans do not. In addition, the skin color of marine people is slightly darker, which is a kind of skin color close to water blue. But Yuank's gills and skin color are wrong. which also shows that Yuank is not a sea person. A human came to Atlantis? This thing is an anecdote. You must know that since Atlantis was established, it has rarely encountered human visits. And the most recent one is the record of being massacred by the Nazis during World War II. It was precisely because of that time that Namor almost submerged the entire New York in the flood under his anger. Later, he resolved the misunderstanding with Captain America and started to attack the Nazis together, causing huge amounts of losses to the Nazis. Therefore, in the eyes of some people, Namor is a hero. But also in the eyes of some other people, Namor is the enemy. But no matter whether Namor is a hero or an enemy, Namor's own identity and position have not changed. He has only one goal, and that is to protect his people and his kingdom. Namor can do anything for this, including destroying the entire human race. Therefore, with Namor's attitude, the entire Atlantis formed a strange atmosphere. They are extraordinarily friendly to their compatriots and extremely indifferent to others. Especially for the human beings who once slaughtered the sea people, they are full of hostility. Although it was the Nazis who slaughtered the ocean people didn't care about it. They just think it was done by humans, so they will naturally be hostile to all humans. Therefore, after seeing Yuank's appearance, all of them showed their repulsion and disgust towards Yuank. What is he doing here? How did he find it here? Where are the guards? Where are the guards? There are humans here. Almost all the people in the sea showed their dislike for Yuank at the first time. They looked at Yuank full of repulsion, as if they were worried that Yuank would pose any threat to them. Amidst their shouts, a team of Atlantis guards appeared in front of Yuank soon. Holding sharp cold weapons, they stopped Yuank. Humans, tell me your purpose. These guards are the same as ordinary Atlantis residents, even more repulsive than them. Perhaps in their eyes, Yuank is an intruder. An existence full of threats. If it weren't for Yuank being alone, they might have already started to kill Guangwank by now. Facing the vigilance of these people, Yuank said calmly, I am Yuank, and I am here to redeem you. Redemption? Several guards looked at Yuank in puzzlement. Obviously, they didn't understand what Yuank meant. In addition, Namor also went on land once not long ago, and they also knew that Namor seemed to have some human companions. This made them even more uncertain whether Yuank was Namor's companion. So they didn't attack Yuank immediately, but were on guard against Yuank. But Yuank continued to say some strange words to them as if he didn't care about their reactions at all. I hope to take a little of your time and introduce to you my heavenly Father and Savior, the greatest existence in the world, the Lord of the Old. When Yuank talked about the almost old-fashioned missionary opening remarks that were about to become a joke, a strange atmosphere enveloped Yuank's whole body in an instant. There was a fanatical, even distorted smile on his face. He was extremely excited, extremely fanatical, and extremely excitedly speaking about the Lord in his mouth, in his eyes, and in his heart. Even so, the Lord is from the old days, even if this Lord is full of danger and terror. But this is his Lord, his everything, his eternal and unchanging faith. However, looking at such a fanatical Yuank, no one is interested in the old master, he said, but is full of fear for Yuank's current appearance. In their eyes, Yuank is as terrifying as a lunatic. A lunatic who has no reason at all. Crazy. That's a madman. Why does this kind of person appear here? His words made me feel horrible and ominous. Almost everyone is cursing this Yuank, because they have not seen the redemption that Yuank said, but the Lord of the Old One that Yuank said. But the moment Yuank said it, let them all feel a burst of terror and uneasiness. It's like being targeted by some extremely terrifying existence, and I feel that my life has been held in the hands of others. It only takes a little force to pinch your soul easily. This feeling is really bad, especially in front of Yuank, a human being. This feeling made them even more disgusted and repelled. It was impossible for them to admit that they were frightened by a human being, but at the same time they didn't want to have anything to do with the lunatic Yuank. So they made a decision that everyone would be satisfied with, which was to grab Yuank immediately. Then lock Yuank up. Sorry, sir, now you need to come with us. The guards directly put their weapons on Yuank's neck, and if Yuank made any resistance, they would kill Yuank immediately. Because Yuank really gave them an extremely ominous and terrifying feeling. This feeling makes them quite disgusted, and it also makes them quite disliked. They didn't kill Yuank immediately because they were worried that Yuank would have some relationship with Namor, and planned to wait for Namor to come back before proceeding to the next step. And this is exactly what Yuank hopes to see. There is no problem, and I believe that several of you will soon understand the greatness of the Old One. Hearing the word Old Lord from Yuank again, these guards were all angry deep in their hearts and felt a burst of inexplicable fear. It's like when I was a child. I came to the great rift valley of the seabed and stared at the bottomless abyss. That kind of unknown, curiosity, and fear are intertwined with everything. These moods also made the guards more certain of one thing. That is, Yuank must be a terrifying existence, and there must be some kind of witchcraft hidden in his words. So these guards immediately became excited. They stepped forward and stuffed something into Yuank's mouth, blocked Yuank's mouth, and then took Wangwank down. At the entrance of Atlantis, countless sea people looked at the back of Yuank being taken away. Their eyes were also full of fear and concern, because they also felt the fear with the previous guards. But no matter what, the words Old Lord have been deeply rooted in their hearts. After imprisoning Yuank, a guard found Namor and told Namor about Yuank. King, we are in the kingdom. A human was found at the entrance. Humanity? Namor looked at the guard with some doubts. This is the bottom of the sea. How could there be humans coming? Is it those superheroes? The only things Namor could think of were those superheroes. Only they can resist the pressure of the sea and come to the bottom of the deep sea. But the guard shook his head and said to Namor, the other party looks like an ordinary human, but he can move freely underwater like us Haiyang people. And he also said that he came to spread the faith. Belief? As soon as Namor heard the word faith, he felt a burst of displeasure. He is a person who does not like to worship anything. He believes that people should not have any worship, and everything about people belongs to themselves, and they should not sacrifice something for some so-called belief. Because of this, Namor immediately had a much worse impression of Yuank. But following the guard, he continued, the human said he was here to promote something. The old days? The old days? The guard wanted to say the words Old Lord, but the words Old Day just came out. He felt as if he had fallen into an endless abyss and was still falling constantly, and at the point of this abyss, a terrifying evil god was staring at him. Old what? Namor also saw that something was wrong with the guard, and he just stepped forward to see what happened to the guard. I heard and saw that the body of the guard was constantly expanding and finally exploded. And amidst the explosion, Namor also heard a shout. Great Old Lord. The end.
Thanks for watching. You can find the next videos in the playlist linked in the info card, directly on my channel, or right here on the screen. And as always, if you have any feedback, feel free to share it in the comments too.